regular meeting?
Still nothing. No.
Okay. A regular meeting of the Delta County Commissioners is being held this date pursuant to the following call. In a letter to the Commissioners dated May 1st, 2025, and reading as follows. The Honorable Members of the Delta County Board of Commissioners, dear Commissioners, a regular meeting of the Delta County Board of Commissioners is scheduled for Tuesday, May 6th, 2025, at 5:15 p.m. in the conference room at the Delta County Service Center. Sincerely yours, Nancy Presrocki, Delta County Clerk. Please rise for a word of prayer. As we begin this meeting, we are thankful for our many blessings. We ask for guidance to help our commissioners make decisions in the best interests of the citizens of our county. And Lord, we pray for the safety of our military men and women and our first responders. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Commissioner Melner?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Williams?
Here.
Commissioner Vangenhoven?
Here.
And Commissioner Jensen.
Here. Okay, welcome everybody. And we'll start off by approval of the minutes of the previous meetings from 4/21/25. There was nothing in there on the 24 yet, so I need a motion on that.
I think they're both there now.
Both
They
there
are
now.
there.
Are they?
Yep.
They
Yeah.
weren't there before.
Yeah, one of them was added not too
Okay.
long ago.
So I need a motion on both of them, on 4/21/25, on 4/24/25.
I'll move that we set the minutes from the 4/21/25 and the 4/24/25 meetings.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Okay, there was no committee of the whole. We'll move down to number 6, approval of the agenda.
Move approval of the agenda.
Support.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. When I was reviewing the IT meeting minutes, there was a motion to bring the $2,900 option for live streaming to to the county board. Just wondering when that is planned to be put on the agenda.
Well, we have the IT committee meeting minutes, which we'll discuss today, so we were going to bring that up and discuss it during then.
To put it on the agenda?
To put what on the agenda?
Your recommendation for the 2,900?
I think what we wanted to do first was give you a little tidbit of information that is a little slightly different than what was originally requested, and then we would go on the agenda if you wanted to or not.
Got it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Presentation of written communications received and forwarded.
Motion to place on file?
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Reports of standing statutory and special meetings and others. Public comment on agenda items. Steve? Attorney.
Brought my stress ball just to keep it light and quick. I ain't gonna take much of your time. Most of you know me through my work with the veterans organizations throughout the county. It's been 6 months since we, as a county, passed our millage request to initiate a Department of Veterans Affairs, and I know it's been a long road for you guys and with some little hiccups here and there. And I just want to say on behalf of the organizations, which I'm a member of every organization possible, thank you for the hard work you've continued to do in supporting us along this way. And I hope with tonight's meeting, we can finally establish the board as it should have been done 4 months ago. And then we ran into a snafu, but either way, I know you guys have not let this settle. And I thank you for your dedication, 100% from me personally, and on behalf of all the veterans of Delta County. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other public comment on agenda items?
And there's no remote.
Nothing on?
No.
Okay, we will move to committee reports. Admin report.
Just a couple of activities happening throughout the county. Tomorrow, we have the UP Honor Flight. They depart at 6:30 a.m. at the Delta County Airport, and they will be returning tentatively around 8:30 p.m. Also, looking ahead, May 21st is our next UP Honor Flight. There was a request for the past civil council retirement. I think Commissioner Williams brought that up in our last board meeting with Attorney Barkhart retiring, so I did inquire with their retention policy. It has been confirmed that they have a 3-year destruction after closure of their physical files. The last invoice that I received, or not I received, but Delta County received, was in 2019, outside of their drug court services that they continually provide us. So I'm just sharing that information that I looked into it. We've also been asked to locate and provide the original agreement with the firm. A reminder that the Real ID goes in effect on May 7th. So all of our driver's license state IDs must be Real ID compliant, or we have to provide an alternative acceptable form of identification for air travel. So just a reminder for everybody to check their driver's license and their state IDs. You can find more information of this on our county website, airport, security and screening section. Delta Airlines reached out and they are going to start closing their ticket counter 45 minutes prior to departure. So usually it was 30 minutes for us, so I just want to let the public know that. Also, we have Ludington Street closure from 4th Street to Lakeshore Drive, so that is going to be right in front of our courthouse. There is our side street parking on the west side. Our east side is also going to be closed. So we have very limited parking, and I just want everybody to factor in, if they are visiting the courthouse, time to accommodate parking in the walking distance. And then we've also applied for several grants. We have the MIDC grant, our Veteran Affairs grant with the state of Michigan, Airport Improvement Grant, and the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law grant that we have applied for.
Motion to place on file.
Support.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I just have one thing to add here. Under the past civil council retirement, I just want the board to be aware that I spoke with the Escanaba Township. I spoke with an individual personal client of Burkhart's, of the firm of which Terry Burkhart is retiring, and then also Ford River Township. And what I've found is that they are being provided documents from many years ago, not just 3 years. So what my major concern is for the county is that I think we need to make sure that we have all records that pertain to land purchases and land sales. And I think that's a really important thing to get from this firm. So I would suggest that we ask specifically for these documents and try to obtain them. Since I do know that they still are handing out documents to local municipalities, government units, and individuals that are far beyond 3 years in their record retention policy. So anyways, that's what I wanted to add.
And then with the Ludington Street closure, because the road's closed, how is that affecting foot traffic? So if you park on the south end, can you still cross the road, or is it, you have to be on the north end?
You can't park on the south side or the north side of Ludington.
No, but if you're, like, let's say I park like on First Avenue South and I want to walk over, is foot traffic going to be blocked there?
You mean, can they pass
Like, are they going to be able to
Street?
cross, like, are they going to be able to walk across the street?
At 4th Street, you can cross the street at 4th.
Only, or for walking and cars and everything, okay.
Right, and
But
then
like
you
if I
can-
wanted to park like behind Social Security and
Yeah,
walk
you
across.
can
You could walk
Okay.
across
Social
4th
Security.
Street,
Okay.
4th Street.
but you
Yeah.
couldn't walk across
Like
3rd Street if you
3rd
went
Street.
between House of
Okay.
Ludington or
Okay.
UP, what is it, Upper Michigan Law.
Okay,
Yeah, it's dirt right now.
It's dirt.
It's dirt and it's large trucks.
Because the road is
Yeah.
closed, so
Yeah.
you can't, but
Yeah.
you could cross on 14, or
Okay.
on 4th, sorry.
I wasn't sure if you could sneak across by walking. I know cars, but
There's a lot of truck traffic
Okay.
and stuff going on right now. It might be dangerous to cross there.
Sure.
Be like
You wouldn't
20
suggest it?
Yeah,
All right,
I wouldn't suggest
All right.
it, right. Not to say I wouldn't do it. but-
right, right,
Be like playing Frogger.
right.
Could I ask a question? Given the fact that we put plans in place at the last meeting for you to be our airport manager, and we have budget coming up, how is that progressing? What is the plan going forward for budget?
So for budget, I talked with the city of Escanaba controller regarding moving toward requesting department heads to enter their budgets directly into BSNA. I was under the impression that a lot of our department heads already had general ledger access. I don't believe that is the case, so I would have to open all of that up also. So I thought it was going to be a shortcut. It looks like it's just adding on more. So again, I will have to most likely resort back to the old process, which is very, very time consuming. I have a lot of tasks right now with the airport and just administrative tasks. I guess I can't give you a date on when I'm gonna be able to turn around and get that done.
No, and I guess I wasn't asking for a date, more so, what would be your plan or your preference for a plan? Only because you do have so many tasks on your lap right now. If it's something that we could look at possibly at the next meeting, taking it over by committee of the whole, or, I mean, we have to realize that in potentially a month, Ashley could be over at the airport and she would no longer hold those controller duties. And we have a budget that has to be done by the end of September.
Correct.
So that's something that we're really gonna have to look into. No one expects you to have to, handle that on your own. At least I don't. I wouldn't assume that any of us would either. And normally that's something we do through finance. But because, like you said, it's time consuming, if that's something you would like to do in a different manner, just think about that.
The time consuming part is extracting the spreadsheet and developing that, formatting it to disperse out to the department heads. Once that initiative is complete, then the next time consuming task, besides the meetings and the conversations, would be actually inputting those numbers directly into the system.
Okay.
Which could be done by a new controller.
Right.
You would have
If
that
we have
information.
one.
Yeah, but
Right.
potentially, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Number 2, IT report, committee minutes from 4/15/25.
Okay, so we have several things that we have tackled and sort of resolved, but we have a few things still open. There is an AI policy that we are working on, artificial intelligence, AI, policy that we're working on. We had some suggestions or recommendations for edits, which will go back to the next meeting, so hopefully we'll get that in place pretty soon. We did decide that we are going to recommend Office 2024 licensing for the county, which just means that we're buying licenses rather than paying a yearly or a monthly charge. We're just going to purchase. So we did come to an agreement on that. And then streaming of all the county board meetings. So what the board had asked us to do was to look at streaming for county board meetings that would happen in like the conference room in the courthouse. And what we did is we looked at options and came up with a solution that was possible, but, and this is the caveat, it's not streaming, but it's recording. So we would be recording, and then those would be uploaded right after the meeting and then available for viewing, but it wouldn't be live streaming. The live streaming for that particular room and that particular scenario just added a lot of what felt like minutia and also cost that, it would be, the recording would be available right after the meeting, sort of like what is available in, here, but obviously we're live streaming too, but you can watch afterward. So that's where we came to an agreement on, and it was a $2,900 option if we wanted to do that, and that's for an OWL, and that's the standalone system essentially, and it's a laptop recording the material and then uploading the recording after the fact. So that was what the option was that we sort of came to terms with. And so I guess my question is, because it's not exactly what this county board had asked for, which was streaming, if it's okay, we can put it on the agenda to have a conversation about it in the future, but it would be slightly different than what was originally requested. And then we also got a resolution on the data center liability that exists, which is currently where the data center is in the county building, it's in the basement. There is water lines that are above the data center, which is technology and water don't mix. It's not a good thing. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have the water lines moved. This was the least expensive and the quickest and most economical way to deal with this liability was to have the water moved and then look at having a suppression system put in there that's specifically for technology. So it's going to protect that very large asset of the counties from any sort of water damage. And then new business, we also looked at, we're creating right now an update to the ADA policy to include electronic documents. And we are putting together a resolution to put forward to the county board on how to accomplish or guide our staff on how to create ADA compliant documents. And we also had, what was this last one? Oh, and that was our outside sources. So how do we get outside sources to produce ADA compliant documents that they're providing to us, so that then we are making sure that our documents, all of our documents that are publicly accessible are ADA compliant. So we're in the process of working on that. We haven't come to a full agreement on where we are, and so we don't have anything to propose yet. But that's where we are with the IT committee.
Okay, can I get a motion to put the IT minutes on?
So moved?
I'll support.
Any discussion?
Would you like us to put it on the agenda? Would you like to put the recordings on the agenda for the next meeting?
You have to do that in a motion.
So,
Not necessarily, you can
No.
request it.
yeah, that's true. We don't need to,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay, so we will do that. And I'll actually do that at the end of the meeting, so.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion pass. Personnel Committee minutes from 5/2/25.
Commissioner Johnson and myself met last Friday to discuss several agenda items that you'll see forthcoming, including the Building and Zoning Director job description, the Parks and Rec Park Manager job description, the Administrator job description, and the Controller job description. All those are in your Nextcloud in your agenda packet. We, due to time constraints, tabled the Personnels and Policies review, and that's all I have.
Okay, can I get a motion to put those on file?
I move to place Personnel Committee report on file.
Support?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion pass. Number 4, Finance Committee minutes from 5/5.
So Commissioner Williams and I actually had a long and fruitful meeting. Most of the items you're going to see, our first one that we actually covered in there is going to be the last item tonight, and that's a request to go out for a proposal for a new folding machine for the Treasury Department. And that was approved, forwarded from Finance, and that will be item 12 here on our agenda this evening. The other two items that came forward from Personnel and from the recommendation of the board prior, one was to determine a salary for the controller's position. And the determination we had was that for that to be between 55 and 65,000 for the window, and that was based on education requirements and separate additional requirements that we would require as a county that's above and beyond an entry-level position. The other one would be for the new administrator's contract, And again, based off of education levels, required experience, it was determined that the best range for that would be between 90 and 100,000. There's a typo in the minutes for that. Let's see, what was the RFP? And then the other one that actually, we actually had action on was for the RFP, and that was for the medical examiner. The ESTA financial impact, that's the new sick leave is mainly what it entails. We did get an update from the administrator. There's no action taking place on that at this time. And same thing with the American Rescue Plan Act review. That was a review. I had a little issue trying to get into the entire spreadsheet because of the size. So there was no additional action taken on that.
Motion to place on file?
Get support?
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 5, departmental updates. Any departmental updates?
Haven't done this in a while, but the Real ID kind of prompted me to think about that. We've had a lot of requests for birth certificates and marriage licenses for women who are getting their Real ID. I mean, men are getting their Real ID too, but they just need a birth certificate, and it's a little easier. So, so our office has been quite busy with that, and that's mainly it. Election today, so if you haven't voted yet and you live in the Gladstone School District, get out and vote.
Okay, thank you. Any other departmental updates? Seeing none. We'll move on to unfinished business. There was none. New business. Payment of bills.
I've examined all claims presented and recommend payment of the following, and that the county clerk be directed to issue orders on the county treasurer to the claimants for the amounts allowed. Grand total of bills, $477,441.15. Commissioner expenses of $335.80.
Move we pay our bills?
Support.
Okay, can I get a roll call?
Commissioner Melner,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Van Genhoven,
Yes.
and Jensen.
Yes.
Okay, we move on to number 2. Commissioner Williams asked me about some addressing updates. So I had called Ashley and I called Jan from our 911. If you want to come up and kind of discuss.
We also have Mr. Norman here, who has been assisting us in the project.
Thanks.
So I'm not sure what you want from us at this point. We were asked to attend, so I assume that you had questions on progress or what the holdups were, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so what I have is, Escanaba Township in particular is not clear on like where we are and, you know, there's questions, but I think, and Ford River Township had some questions, but I think what it all boils down to is townships are trying to budget for this next fiscal year, and they're not sure what they need to budget. And so I think it comes down to the budget cycle, and they're getting a little bit antsy right now because the months are ticking away and they're not sure what they need to put in their budget, so.
So I did recently have a conversation with Teresa. We kind of ran into each other out in the wild here, like
Okay.
outside of email. It was a face-to-face conversation, and she did ask me those questions, and I completely understand that. The reality is, we have had a fairly full schedule with projects in our jobs that we were hired to do.
Gotcha.
And there's only so many hours in a day. We do have a couple of things, Round Lake for sure, which we've talked about forever as being an area where there could be a significant problem out there. If it's not addressed, we have that ready to submit. And Jody had talked about that too, as being a smaller, more confined area. It would be a great first area to release and sort of test our processes that we've put into place with the addressing committee and the administrator's office. So I think that we're ready to move forward with that. To make a promise that we are going to be able to put the amount of time in, it's literally going each individual parcel. And not only looking for what's currently addressed, but looking through imaging to try to find parcels that have structures on them, because previously they weren't required to be addressed, but now with our board-approved ordinance, anything with a structure is required. There could be a fall, there could be also a fire, all sorts of
Right.
things. So we have to look not only at what's on paper with the address list, but also at imaging to look at each one. It's really time consuming. With the three of us, there are times where it results in a disagreement that we talk out. We're relatively cordial. No, we always work it out.
Okay.
But there's different points of view, so having multiple voices at the table is good, because we're able to really come up with a decision that's gonna provide the highest level of safety for that property owner. So it is a time commitment. And shy of letting our responsibilities with our current positions slide, we just haven't had time to commit to it. Now, if there was something that was a problem area where there was a serious safety concern, like, wow, we're really having problems in this area, and we needed to focus on something and try to do that quickly, we could try to find some time for that. But to really be able to sit down and commit a large amount of time to the project, we're not looking at until maybe fall.
Okay.
I have, our county 911 plan is unbelievably outdated. I contacted the state 911 office to ask for some assistance, because I don't even know that my predecessors ever even had to look at this thing. I certainly wasn't trained on it. Want
Okay.
to make sure it's done correctly. Once the May annual reports are submitted and they're done with those, she is promising some time to help me through that, because she said it's a very detailed and time-consuming process. Once that's done, we can devote the time. But there's only 40 hours in a work week, I mean, you run out of time, and we're trying to do the best we can to meet
no.
our responsibilities.
Understand. Is there would it be helpful at all if we were to form some sort of task force to put more people or more resources toward it?
That would be really tough.
Okay.
I mean, they would have to have a lot of knowledge of that, like 911 has, and they would need to have the knowledge of the area, which we have.
Okay.
And, I mean, when we started this, there was 8 people on this, and now it's 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I remember
And-
too when it started, and
And
so,
it's not that easy for somebody to just come in and try and help, because, number one, they're not gonna have an idea of where it even needs to be, how it needs to be numbered. And if somebody were to come in and help us, we're gonna end up helping them more than they're helping us.
right, so it can be a hindrance at that point, so, okay.
Yeah, because there's times where, I mean, we have to respect the ordinance. It's written specifically in a way that's gonna make it easier for responders, but the reality is that there are little pieces here and there where it's like, in the name of safety, we have to blur the line a little bit right here, because
Okay.
the priority is safety over compliance, so
Sure,
to speak.
sure,
And
yeah.
there's moments like that somebody that doesn't understand emergency response may not be able to recognize the need to do something like that.
Okay, okay. I appreciate it. I appreciate the additional information. I think at this point, it's, a response to the townships that are, their budget questions. I think it's just, maybe just keep doing what they've been doing, which is putting a little bit into their budgets, and if something happens, it happens. If it doesn't, then you've got that extra, that extra line item that could maybe be allocated somewhere else within that, within the budget year.
And
So,
the other thing, and I had asked Ashley about this, and I guess we're not sure what the townships decided, but there was some conversation throughout this entire process about what happens moving forward after the initial bulk purchase of the signs. When there's a new property, how that sign expense is
Right,
charged out. And so
right.
I don't know if that's something, I mean, I suppose if they don't have, the funds available for it, that's still something individually, it's doable.
I think some of the townships we're talking about, it would become a part of like the permitting process. So if you're going to build a structure, you're gonna get a building permit. Part of that cost is gonna be the sign that goes along
But are
with
they wanting
it.
that to be done through the county building and zoning instead of their individual township?
That I don't know. I'm relaying some of the conversation that I've heard is, because that conversation is happening in the townships, like, how is this gonna work moving forward? We get everybody numbered and it's like, someone builds a house, what's the process? And is that a county process or is that an individual township process?
I guess my question is, shouldn't that process already exist?
What's
So
that?
what are they doing right now when there's building and zoning is purchasing?
I don't know. I don't know who's
It-
purchasing.
From what I understand, the townships are putting that cost onto the new homeowner. The problem, I think the biggest problem with the townships is, Cornell Township had 151 changes to current existing places.
Gotcha.
Those are the ones that they don't know what they're gonna do or how those people are gonna who's gonna pay for those new signs?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the street signs, that's one thing, we'll have to eat that, we're gonna have to, the county or us or somebody, we're gonna have to deal with that, because we're not just changing home addresses, we're changing.
Right, you're
street
changing
names.
street names, yep, mm-hmm.
And, but I think that the biggest problem, from what I've heard from all the townships, is who's gonna take on that cost for the existing home? Half of Lake Bluff is gonna change.
Okay.
Who's gonna pay for all of those signs? From what I've heard, those are the biggest questions.
That might lend itself well to a committee of the whole with the townships to have a conversation about how we move forward once we've sort of got the majority of this done. But like, what does this look like moving forward? It's a very good question.
We-
And a lot of these new ones are gonna need summary signs too, not just the regular fire number. Like if there's 6 houses
Oh,
down
right,
here,
right.
then you need-
There's
Round
a-
Lake is a
yep.
great
like,
example of
there's a
that.
lot.
Oh, the summary.
Okay.
that need summary signs, especially like camps.
Mm-hmm.
Down in Cornell, there's so many camps where the grid doesn't, it's tricky because it's like, here's your access point, but the camp might be.
But they go off,
5
yeah.
miles down here, so.
Exactly,
There's gonna
okay,
be a lot of signage
okay.
on some of these.
How are we sitting with the grant money or the fundraising that happened, what was it, 5 years ago, 4 years ago?
Quite a while ago.
So, originally, I believe it was under the county, but then it was moved over to, was it the Community
it's in the
Foundation?
township.
Yeah,
It's in the
It is in the
township.
township, but I think
Okay.
So this, funding was already discussed prior to,
yeah, there's that USDA grant, and I know that Greg Johnson was managing some of that for a while, and I don't know where it was turned over to after that. There
It
was a
went-
lot of confusion with the townships, and then it seemed like they were starting to figure out who was getting what.
John,
Yeah.
you would know
It-
that, right? Yeah.
It actually went into the Township Association. They have a separate line item for just that. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's around 64,000.
I was gonna say it was around 64,000.
Yeah, yeah. So they do have that money just sitting there.
Nowhere near enough.
So is that shared among all the townships?
I think there was a
At one
formula.
time, what I understand is each township was supposed to put in $5,000. Now, I don't know how many townships did that.
That does sound very familiar, so I do think there are.
That did happen.
Yeah.
But I know some of the townships, they did not do it, but I
Okay.
can't tell you which ones offhand.
Okay, does that make up that 62 that you're
Nope,
talking about,
they
or is
got-
that in addition?
Some of that was from that fundraiser that they were doing.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
But then also there were, we had gone township to township and really strongly recommended not purchasing any signs until this was done, and a lot of townships purchased signs anyway.
okay,
So they're gonna end up being purchased twice, which is unfortunate, but
okay,
it is what it is.
okay.
And we did meet with all of the townships.
Several
Last
times.
year?
Yep.
Yeah.
We brought them all to the road commission, and we talked to them about this to a great extent. And
Okay.
there was several of them that were pretty perturbed, I guess you would say. that they were gonna have to eat this cost.
Okay.
They were pretty adamant that the county should be picking up this bill because of whatever their belief is. I'm not gonna go there, but.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
this is a longstanding issue. Our former administrator DeSalvo went out to the Township Association. I remember you, Jen. Ashley has also gone out with you to the Township Association. So this is, and every discussion includes the money issue. So I think it's really something we're gonna have to iron out.
Yeah,
sooner
it may
rather
be
than
a good
later.
idea. So, I mean, if you guys just keep having to have the conversation over and over, it's like,
I
why
get a
don't
lot
we?
of phone calls directed back to me whenever someone has a question. It seems like they tell them, "I'll call Jen at 911," and then I
Yeah.
take the call. And so I do feel like it would be beneficial if we had either a universal process
Mm-hmm.
or if we had something that was sort of, if we draw down township by township what their process is, so that no matter who somebody calls within the realm of people that are involved in this,
They
that
can
they're getting
answer,
the same
yeah,
answer. Because an answer you don't love is even worse if it's different from an answer someone else gave you.
That's a great quote. I'm gonna use that. It's very true. Yeah, no, I think it might be beneficial to have a committee of the whole and just have everyone at the table having this conversation with everyone. So, and then just hammer it out, so.
I think
Thank
there's
you.
more to it than just this, though. I mean, we've been at this for 4 years now, 3 years, 4 years? It's been a while. And we haven't gone live with anything yet.
Okay,
And every time that we take a step, we hit another wall.
Ah.
And then we take another step and we hit another wall. I really think that we need to move, Round Lake forward, and we need to push this through before we pick up and start doing this again in the fall, because
Okay.
we don't know what other roadblocks we're gonna hit.
okay. So Round Lake would be sort of like your beta testing. You're gonna just finish that one area and then try all your processes and see what works and what doesn't work, and then make changes as necessary before you push it out everywhere else.
Round
It's a
Lake,
safe place to start when there's very few permanent residents there.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
all for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, is there some reason why you wouldn't push forward on that? I mean, is it,
that's
is there?
beyond us.
Okay, so that's something that maybe we could make happen. Okay. Help happen, not make happen. I should rephrase that. Help make happen. Yeah. Okay. I appreciate your time. I really do. Thank you very much. So,
Thank you. Thanks for all the hard work you've been doing.
yeah.
Okay. Number 3, to the Veterans Affairs Committee. I guess what we'll do is we'll just start with District 1. I looked over all of them, and I came up with Benjamin Poe. My choice. So I'll make a motion to have Benjamin Poe on the Veterans Affair for District 1.
Support.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion pass. Okay,
District 2, I didn't see any added applications, so I've made my decision fairly easy to nominate Mr. Gary Maynard. That would be my motion.
Support.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 3,
District 3?
yep,
I have looked over my applications and have decided that I would like to make a motion to appoint Stacy Lake.
Support.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 4, there's only one.
District 4, we received one application, Cal Smythe, and my motion would be to appoint Cal Smythe.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 5,
District 5 actually had more than a couple, they had several. The The one that obviously definitely comes to the top of that would be Mr. Steve Kacharny. And I would recommend him to serve as on the committee of County Veterans Affairs
Support.
Committee.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Congratulations to the 5.
There's, if I may, Mr. Chairman, there's one thing else that we still have to do with that, is determine the length of time on the, that each of those are gonna serve, because even though it's
Okay.
a 4-year block, we can't have more than 2 at any one time come up for, replacement. So if it's like, start with number 1, but like, say, districts 1 and 2, it's 2 years. District 3, say they're 3 years, and then 4
Yeah.
and 5 are a 4-year term, or, districts 3 and 4 are 2-year.
Could we use
at 3
the,
years.
could we use the motion we passed a few months ago relative to that? Because we never rescinded that motion, right?
Right.
Yeah,
if
so could
did,
we just
yeah,
use that?
Yeah, and that's fine.
Okay,
I just want to make sure we're covered on it, so we don't.
yeah. I don't, Nancy could maybe remind us
Yeah,
what it was,
I
but
don't recall if it-
Yeah.
I just want to make sure if it was or wasn't.
On this form,
I think, yeah, there you go.
On this form, we have District 1 and District 2 expiring December 31st of 2016, District 3 expiring, District 3 and 4 expiring December 31st of 2027, and District 5 expiring December 31st of 2028.
All right, perfect, thank you.
So we don't have to do no more with that?
No,
It's all
that's
been
still
settled?
valid. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that
Okay.
it didn't get rolled in with the other ones rescinded, so.
Okay. We will move on to number 4. Building and zoning, director job description.
That was me, and I just wanted to update that job description. There were some, there's requirements for a building and zoning director and a building inspector. A previous version of the job description had a rule that had been rescinded through the state, and so we needed to update that with what the new rules are. So that was added to make sure that the building and zoning job description was up to date.
Okay. Can I get a motion on that change?
So moved.
Support?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion pass. Number 5, Parks and Rec, Parts Manager job description.
One of the ones that was discussed in personnel. There were several changes recommended in personnel, besides the ones that were proposed from Commissioner Williams. So what had happened was there were several individuals that had worked on this original Parks Manager description. So you've seen different types of writing styles and such. So now we've kind of formatted, made it all one piece, and it's not as lengthy. So we're just looking for our approval to make those changes.
So moved.
I'll support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 6, Administrator Controller job description. Administration Controller job description. Would like,
This was also discussed in our Personnel Committee meeting, taking the recommendations that came out of that committee of the whole. There were some changes that we had made throughout the job description, so they are sending this forward for recommendation.
So moved?
Support.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 7, Administrator job description.
Same summary as the controller job description. We had our committee of the whole. Changes were made to the job description according to that. Additional changes were made in the required qualifications. I don't believe were there any others that were really notably.
Okay.
I would say that the one major addition to the administrator job description is under the section labeled personnel, the last bullet point. The administrator will be responsible for employee benefit programs, including insurances, pensions, and other benefits, and ensures all reports are filed in a timely manner. This will cover the HR position that does not exist for the time, so the administrator will essentially be a dual role until that HR specialist position is formed through the administration office. So it is going to be a dual function administrator HR person, in my opinion.
I think the other thing that's important to point out or remind us about is that we talked, I can't even remember which meeting it was, but we talked about hiring a new administrator and allowing that administrator some time to potentially evaluate the structure of the administrative office and potentially do a sort of reorganization within the office and, reassigning roles and so forth. So I think that's also just part of, what we're hoping that would come out of this administrator that does have this HR function is like, how does that get done? And is it best with the administrator or someone else, and let them decide
Correct.
what actually works best?
Can I get a motion on this?
I'll move to adopt the administrator's job description.
Support?
Any more discussion?
Yeah, one thing I'd like to kind of bring forth some history as far as, and this was discussed during our meeting of personnel, is that when we first had the controller position added, it was a discussion that took 4 years for it to actually come to fruition. And so while I hope this doesn't take 4 years to develop what we need to out of this HR position or decide if we need to have an HR position, it does, this is a process, and it does take time to feel out, so I appreciate everybody's patience.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 8, administrator contract.
So presented before you is just a piece of the contract. It would be regarding the salary. The finance committee is recommending $90,000 to $100,000 for the salary. And then they have also deferred the remaining portion of the contract to personnel for review.
And this was discussion only, right?
We would
'Cause
need
I don't
action,
see-
so then we can post the job.
So this is new business item number 8, but I don't see anything in our agenda packet
Yeah,
that would be
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why,
number 8. That's why.
that's why I asked for
Yeah,
discussion.
So are you asking us to approve the salary?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just a
Okay,
salary.
thank you.
That was
Yeah.
in the finance minutes.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, no, that's no worries at all.
I didn't want the contract because.
Yeah.
We don't want the contract
No,
as it
no,
is. We
yeah.
want
It's
it to
just
be
for-
reviewed
Right.
and
Yes.
amended, and
Yes.
yes,
Right.
So this is just accepting the salary?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support?
Any more discussion?
Oh, yes. So I would just like for finance to explain why the starting salary is listed as what it is.
So I'll let the chair start, and then I can
So
add.
initially, we looked at slightly lower. And then when we looked at from where other ones previously were, and over the time prior to Ms. Young and where those were, and with what the rate of inflation was, and we averaged that as about 3%
3%
a
per
year.
year.
When we did that over those years, that actually comes out slightly higher than where our top end currently is. The other one is, one of the things we looked at is education level. This is a posting that we're requiring a master's degree. So there's another one. A couple of the other items that really stand out are not just experience, but we're looking at 3 to 5 years experience. And one of those being in government, but in a municipality at least of equal size or bigger previously than Delta County. So that's one of those. The other, there's And I'm trying to remember without looking
I,
at my
I can add a
minutes.
couple
Yeah,
of things
please.
real quick.
Yeah,
We
by
did
all
look
means.
at the counties, UP counties, to see what the administrator positions' salaries were, and then also a couple of counties that are of equivalent size in the Lower Peninsula. And we did, based on, there were a few outliers where salaries were much higher, but the majority were in the like 85 to 105, somewhere in that range. And so, although we started out much more conservative, as we sort of unpacked the duties that this role must manage and what we're seeing across other counties of our size, we came to this agreement. One thing we talked about, though, was the benefit package for this particular position is quite nice. And so if an applicant wanted to have a conversation about the salary range, they could potentially negotiate benefits to come down and salary to go up. So there's some possible negotiation that could go on there. But the benefit package is a big portion of this particular position, and we can't forget that. We look at a particular salary range, but we also have to include or add in the benefits that go with it.
There was one other good point. When we just actually went back through the descriptions, and it was pointed out, HR is still part of this. That's in most of the other counties we found. It's kind of unheard of to have that as anything but a standalone position. So this is one where we're, in essence, still combining two full-time jobs. So, at first look, when you see the administrator salary, well, it's not just the administrator, it's an administrator / HR. So there still is two full-time jobs rolled into that for that same price range.
I wouldn't say two full-time jobs, but I
Well,
understand what
yeah.
you're saying. Yeah, I don't think the HR portion of it is a full-time job, but it's definitely an additional
Can I ask a question?
expectation.
You guys, it sounds like you guys are defending the high end of the salary as opposed to, in my head, I thought the 100 actually seemed kind of low. Like in my head, I saw 105.
Same.
But I can understand like the 90 to 100, I would say 90 to 105.
But I would say that you really need to look at the benefit package, and if you want to take away some of the benefits and then increase that salary range, I'd be okay with that. But the salary with the benefits that go with this particular position are significantly beneficial. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
they're definitely generous.
yeah. So I would look at the whole package.
What do you guys put a cost estimate for the entire package?
What was it? I can do the math real quick,
Yeah,
but I
don't
can't,
have it in front of me.
well, add, what is it, 80 cents to the dollar?
Yeah.
So 72,000
Seven-
base
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
up to 80.
Yeah, I'm still thinking that we're not going high enough. I think for what we're requiring, plus the years of experience, we should be at least 100 to 110, if we're gonna get somebody qualified. I know Ms. DeSalvo was at approximately 100,000 when she was removed from her position. You're at, what, 105 right now? After 2 years of being in your position. I think with the inflation cost from when they started to now, and I understand the benefit package. And so I just think we need to go a little higher. I think we need to be 100 to 110. And that's just my opinion.
I guess, put my 2 cents in on this. If we find somebody that is very qualified, I don't think we're gonna let a few bucks, $5,000, make somebody walk.
Right, I think that's why I was saying, I think it's important that we're
Yeah.
open about the fact that we can have conversation, negotiation with anyone who applies, who feels that the salary range might be a hindrance, and we can have a conversation about how we can negotiate that based on based on benefits. And so I think that gives us some real leeway to, to engage people of a variety of expectations, knowing that there's negotiation power there.
Yeah. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Oppose.
Okay, one opposed. Motion passed. Number 9, Parks and Rec Commission. Recognition.
Recreation.
Yes,
Recognition.
Sorry.
Recreation.
Recognition,
Yeah.
not recreation,
Oh,
recognition.
recognition, park and recreation recognition. Whoops. You had it right, John.
Mary Harrington, she did resign from the Parks and Rec, so we are sending her a letter saying thank you and I appreciate everything she has done. So,
Yeah, I would just like to say, I would like to thank Matt Valaket for writing that letter. I thought he did a very nice job, and I just would like to recognize him for having done that work.
okay. Get a motion on this?
Motion to support the letter, or to send the letter of recognition to Mary Harrington.
I'll support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Number 10, hiring committee for parks.
So I added this on there because I think we are needing to form a hiring committee at the Parks and Recreation Committee level, sort of like the Airport Advisory Board, what we went through there for the hiring of an airport manager. If you look at the bylaws for the Parks and Rec Commission, it's Article 6, Section 9, that talks about the Parks Commission may employ such persons for park-related purposes, and it basically gives the list of people that the Parks Commission may employ. The language is a little bit odd to me because I think you could go either way, but based on what we do with the airport and the advisory board there, I'm inclined to think that we should probably have the Parks and Rec Commission do the interviewing, so basically look at the applications, do the interviews, basically all of the minutia of hiring, and then recommend to the Board of Commissioners who they would like to see hired as the parks manager. So I would make a motion that we form a hiring committee at the Parks and Rec Commission for the hiring of our parks manager, or for the recommendation to the board for the hiring of the parks manager.
With support?
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Okay, number 11, controller salary.
This also came out of finance. I'm sorry, I didn't jump ahead in the board packet.
Isn't there a song? Jump ahead, jump ahead.
I couldn't remember the numbers. So the finance committee reviewed the job description that was presented to them from the personnel recommendation, and they're recommending 55 to 65,000 for the salary, starting salary.
Okay, can I get a motion on that?
Make a motion to offer the salary at 55 to 65,000.
Support?
Any discussion?
Yes. Sorry. I feel that this wage, based on the qualifications and education required, is too low. A salary of 55 to 65,000 is equivalent to approximately $28 to $34 per hour. Right now, the starting wage with benefits for an entry-level mill trainee at Billerud is $29 per hour, and that's with no education requirements. We're requiring this controller to have a bachelor's degree plus 3 to 5 years of experience. And I would like to see it between 65 and 75 based on education and qualifications.
So one of the things we did actually were able to pull is one of the local firms in a position that they're hiring was in that $25 range. Based on that, and with what we're looking at for education levels, as well as the experience, that actually is what shifted that further to the right and actually increased that to where we're at now. So based on what the other position, locally that's been advertised for a firm, was actually less, and we're actually looking at, obviously, additional requirements that isn't required with that other job, and that was the rationale for the increase to where we're at.
Yeah, and I think we also talked about, we have to be careful comparing private industry
Yep.
to
Yes.
government
Yep,
positions.
Absolutely.
In the comparison, like looking at controller salaries across government positions, and this was I looked at in the state of Michigan, counties, but also like at the college and other government sort of funded organizations, and it fell within this range. I'm very comfortable with this, but I know we did have a conversation that if we couldn't get applicants within this, like if we didn't have applicants coming in, or we had feedback saying, this seems like it's just out of the range that it should be, we can come back to the table and review. But I did feel like we were pretty comfortable within this range.
Commissioner Johnson?
For me, when we compare Billerud to the campground and parks, you compare me not getting sleep and me having a normal sleep schedule, and I'll take the normal sleep schedule every time. Because isn't Billerud more of a swing shift?
Oh, they do
No,
have
they have-
swing shifts.
For
Yeah.
finance.
Okay.
I also just have a comment. So when we were talking about hourly wages, I believe when you gave the hourly amounts, is this a 35-hour-a-week position or a 40? We have historically posted it as 35 hours a week.
Okay.
So I think those
I based it
calculations.
on 37.5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure if we have to make a change, if
No.
we're shifting to 37 and a half or,
No.
okay, I just want to make sure, because this comes up in our postings, so.
Yeah,
just
I mean,
wanted-
you're talking about a job that requires no education or experience being the same wage as, something we're requiring with a bachelor's degree and 3 to 5 years of experience. Also at Personnel, we discussed the option of, would we prefer to have a CPA? That was the big bulk of our discussion, actually, when it came to the controller's position. And I was advocating for that, but what it seemed was like it was gonna be a needle in a haystack to try and get that person, and then the value of a CPA would have been about an additional 20,000, I believe. So, I don't know, I advocated on getting higher and better wages for our employees, and I would like to see us start off higher, but that's just my stance.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye. I'm sorry,
Anybody
did we
opposed?
have a motion on the table? Did we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're good?
Yeah.
Yes, I know you seconded.
Okay,
seconded
okay,
it,
thank
yeah.
you. I just
Yeah.
couldn't, I
Seconded,
couldn't
but I
remember. I
can't-
thought we were
can't
having a
remember who
discussion
made the
without it,
motion.
so.
That's
Okay.
why we're having discussion.
Yeah, thank you. I just couldn't
I was
remember.
like, yes.
Okay,
Right, right.
oppose.
There you go.
okay. Motion passed. Number 12, RFP folding machine.
Our county treasurer approached me regarding the need for a folding machine prior to the summer taxes being sent out. And this will be taken out of our DTRF fund. And we just need approval for the RFP that has been presented to you. It is a short time frame turnaround. However, to be able to have it for summer tax filing time, we shortened it. Usually we do like 30 days around there, but
And we did, just real quick, DTF, is that
delinquent
Department?
tax
Oh.
revolving fund.
I'm
So-
glad I asked, because it's not what I thought, so thank you very much. Yeah, we always throw acronyms
Sorry.
around, and
Yep.
it's like, what is that? Okay, thank you. We also talked about that there's no policy that requires a specific time frame in which an RFP is out, so we legitimately can do this with no concerns, so,
Yes.
So can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion that we go out on an RFP for this folding machine.
Can I get
Support.
Support? Any more discussion?
What's our cost benefit? Like, how much time are we saving? When will we realize the cost savings? Do we know those numbers?
We'll never receive that savings.
Okay.
I'm just teasing.
I mean, if that's where we're at accepting
I'm
it, then
teasing.
just wondering, like, are we saving an employee? Are we,
Well, yeah, I mean,
Well,
obviously we'd be saving an employee if you look at the machine can fold and stuff 3,500 envelopes an hour.
Employee can't do that.
Yeah, no, I don't
How does it-
think
how long
any
is
of
it-
us can come close to
how long
that,
does it take an
so.
employee to do that?
Oh, boy.
3,500, well, we did this.
35 hours?
Yeah, I was going to say, we did this work at the college at one time because we were going to purchase a fairly significant new machine. And there was no comparison. But I do know that if you look at employee time to do a labor task like this, they're not doing a higher level
Right.
work, which is more benefit to our buck than doing the labor that a machine can do. So although, having a folding machine is maybe something that you might argue that we don't need, I would argue that it's essential so that our employees can do higher level tasks. So-
As long as we're doing higher level tasks and not-
Absolutely, absolutely. There should be an expectation that we are doing higher level
Yeah,
tasks.
sure,
Absolutely.
sure.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Okay, number 12, general public comment. Anybody has any general public comment?
Let me check real quick. I apologize. I should have had that open, so. It's my fault for this delay. Oh, and it helps if I don't have my phone on airplane mode. Oh, my goodness. So sorry. Okay. We are, no, we're good.
We're good?
Yep.
One more time, any general public comment? Seeing none, we will go on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, I went to a grant writing workshop this morning. It was interesting. There's a few different websites now that are out there, so it's Michigan Hub, I believe. Let me look it up. It was Central UP Small Business Support Hub. And so that was interesting. And then Michigan Works has their thing and MEDC has their websites. But it was nice to see the grant process again and kind of go through it for whether it be small businesses, governments, and different organizations. The program was being put on by the Lake Superior Community Partnership. So any information, go to their website and look up the hub. That's all I have.
Commissioner Williams.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. I would like to ask that we add to the next meeting agenda, a review of our drain commissioner compensation. That's, was in our communications received. And I think we need to review that in light of our current drain commissioner and the responsibilities that individual is covering. So I don't necessarily want to limit the conversation to compensation, but I think the drain commissioner should be on the next agenda so that we can have conversation around that. And then there's still a few days left for anybody out there who's in District 3, who's interested in serving on the Parks and Rec Commission. That 30-day notice is coming up here pretty quick, but there still are days if you want to get your application in. And that application can be found online on the Delta County website or the clerk's office and is submitted to the clerk's office. Thank you.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yeah, first off, I would also like to request an item for the agenda for our next meeting, and that would be the review of our administrator. The evaluations were sent out in the middle of April, and they should be coming back. She received her evaluation a year ago tomorrow, and so I believe she is owed that evaluation. So I look forward to doing that at the next meeting. Second of all, I lost my train of thought. What else was I gonna say? I don't know, I'll pass. That's all. Thank you.
Commissioner Jensen.
First off, congratulations to those individuals appointed tonight. That's a big step in a long process that we've had. It'll be interesting when they actually get to form and actually come up with their individuals that will proceed to run their board, as well as their bylaws and stuff moving forward. Yeah, it's definitely exciting part in it. The other shameless plug for Park and Recreation. There's still time. We
thank you.
have little QR codes out, various places around the county. You go to the county website, of course, it has a little pop-up in there. Please take the time to do, it's a short survey, only take you a few moments. But that gives us valuable input in the process moving forward on what you as our citizens want to see out of our parks and recreation areas that the county has. So, thank you.
Nancy?
Nothing for me.
Administrator Young? I do know that the road restrictions will be coming off May 9th at 8 o'clock in the morning, so everybody can start hauling again. And I did receive something, an email today and I got a call from this gentleman, and I'm gonna do a little more research on it. But he wants to try to get Amtrak up through the UP.
Yes. Please.
And he actually is trying to get each county to do a resolution.
Of support?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he said he's gonna try to come from Green Bay all the way up through, to, St. Agnes up to Sioux, and then go all the way across to Duluth.
To get resolutions?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But that would be his main goal of tracking. Yeah.
Okay.
So I will be continuing to work with this gentleman and see how that goes and go from there.
All right.
Thanks.
And I will bring it up at our meeting, at our UP conference too.
Perfect.
So, meeting schedule, board meeting on 5/20/25 at 5:15. Why do we have 6:30 and then 6:17?
It should be 6:03, I think.
6:03?
6:03,
Okay, 6:03 at 5:15 and 6:17 at 5:15. Notices, 30-day notice of appointment, Central UP Materials Management Planning Committee. They are looking for a person. And I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.